What's the weirdest rule you had to follow at your childhood home? 1. We weren't allowed to talk during meals. My parents said it was to teach us discipline, but it just made dinners really awkward. 2. Was actually a friend, not me. Basically at his house, him and his brother were allowed in only 3 rooms. Their bedrooms and the bathroom. The kitchen, living room and dining room were completely off limits. If they wanted water they had to ask and a parent would bring a glass from the kitchen. The dining room was meant to be used for family meals, but apparently a lot of the time they just gave the kids food on plates to eat in their room. It really weirded me out as a kid when I went there. I would be greeted by the parents, they would escort me to my friend's bedroom, then close the door behind me. When it was time to leave my friend had to call for his parents to then escort me out. No idea why they had this rule. The mom didn't work and literally sat at home all day every day. 3. I wasn't allowed to do anything near windows. My mom was convinced that our neighbors were always watching us, so I had to crouch down whenever I went by a window. 4. Guests weren't allowed to use the upstairs washroom, and by guests I mean specifically if me or my siblings had friends over. We weren't allowed to offer them any food or drinks except water. I'm pretty sure my mom just wanted to make my house as inhospitable as possible so that she could destroy those friendships. She thought that friends were a distraction and that studying was all that mattered. 5. My parents were hoarders. We were not allowed to mess with their stuff, aka clean, in any capacity. It was a nightmare to live in. My dad passed when I was younger, but after my mom passed, we had the house and its contents condemned, razed, and sold the land. To this day, mess makes me anxious. 6. We weren't allowed to chew gum after 4:30 because we wouldn't be getting enough use out of it before we had dinner at 6 o'clock. 7. We were not allowed to cut through the flower bed out front to get to the sidewalk. The rule is perfectly fine, it was just that my mom convinced her young children that a family of monsters would grab your ankles and pull you into the ground for eternity if you set foot in the garden. It absolutely terrified me until I was old enough to know better. 8. Not allowed to say I hate anything. I hated mustard. I had to say I liked mustard but didn't prefer it. 9. We weren't allowed outside if an adult wasn't home. Even into high school. Got off the bus with a group of kids and stood outside chatting with them for a few minutes before going home. Neighbor tattled on me. Grounded for 2 weeks. Decided okay, if I can't stay outside for a few minutes, I'll invite them into the house, since no one said I couldn't. Yep, grounded for a month. 10. Don't ever spill a drink or my father would fly into an insane rage.